Okay, I've got some vocals, so I'm ready to go here. I'm starting about 7 minutes early. Let me get us over here to the course. And we're over in the modules, and we'll talk about this. Now, this is scheduled as a Q&A session, and obviously, I'm starting a little bit early. I do want to try and provide some upfront answers, if you will. And I'm here tonight also. You do have flex time to work on the project, so you don't have to be in the finals, so you don't have to be here for class. However, I'm over here. I've been over here today. I had a meeting at 3:30, but I've been here, I guess since about 10:30 this morning. So, 11:30 with office hours. So I have been available, as I told you that I would be. And like I said, I'm going to record this session so you can look at it at your leisure if you so choose. If you're wise, you will. And I'm going to go back through and just kind of review where we are right now. This is week 12, okay? And as I mentioned, it's flex time. There's no class, okay? So you're not required to be here. If you want to be here and you have a question, whether you're here physically in BBC Lab or you're out there in TV land, whatever, you are most welcome to come and ask a question, and I will do my very best to answer it. Now, I want to start with, first of all, the check your understanding, and here's the instructions for those. I'm going to download those. All right. So as I had said, I was going to go about an hour and a half, and I'll stay here about as long as as long as I feel like we're getting something done. Now, let me go ahead, and I'm going to take this and bring it up a bit. Okay. And we'll bring this up a bit so it's easy for you to see. Here are the instructions. You're going to complete the check your understanding exercises on the following pages in the Patrick text. Okay, that's the SQL fundamentals text. And you'll upload your access file in Canvas prior to the due date. Now, I tell you, you can create a fresh database and then import any necessary objects from the Patrick files at Canvas. Or if you want, you could just simply use that SQL Fun database that we've used. And I'm going to diminish this down for a sec and go down to the desktop here, and here it is. Okay, and this is where I think 1 week, yeah, where we did we did lunches database 18. We did chapter 18. Okay, so this is probably going to be better for you to use the SQL Fun database simply because all of the objects you need will be there. Now, let's go a little bit further with those instructions. Now, upload the database at Canvas, and an MS Word document that includes print screens or print screens documenting your work, preferably a results set on each check your understanding. And if you have your Patrick text there, or you should get it and take a look at it if you're watching this, go over to page 41, okay? I've got to break myself of that habit. Page 41, and you'll see on page 41, check your understanding. And it says, list the description and price of all of the foods. Change the name of the description column to food _ item. And the name of the price column to cost. That means you're going to do a query. You're going to get a couple you're going to do one column alias. Actually, you're going to do 2 column aliases. Now, that check your understanding is there on page 41, and it's part of chapter 2, where we talk about the select clause. Okay, back over on page 39, they show you an example where you're selecting an employee ID, and then you rename it employee number, and then phone number, and you're using the column alias, and then you get the lesson, and then that's where you put in what we call literal. We talked about that as evaluation. Again, a column alias. 10 is a rating. Okay, so that 10, that's a column alias, and then from employees. So you're going to take that same type of example that we worked on, or those files out of chapter 2, and you're going to do the query that asks you to run right under check your understanding. And you're going to do the same thing for chapter 2. There's another one on page 56. You'll see it there. List the first and last name of the employees with the first name of Nancy. So that's number 2. Chapter 3 is from page 87. Chapter 4, the check your understanding on page 157. And you'll notice I go all the way to chapter 15 at page 586. So you'll have, this is what you're going to be doing, is taking these chapters where we went through the lunches database chapters, we went through writing the code. As I mentioned before, as we were doing this, there are going to be some times, okay, when you're going to, when you will want to simply use the design view as opposed to writing code. And you'll see those, especially with some of these simpler queries. Now, when is this due? Let's go back up here. There's our friend Cardinal Buddy. And I'm going to go back over to the modules. And this is week 12. There you go. And again, this is flex time to work on your projects and final. There's no class. However, I made a commitment to you when you saw my schedule for today that I was going to do a screencast over here, and I would do a Q&A session so people had questions, but I would be here from 6 to 7:30 only. But I've been over here today since about, I think, 11:30 or 12. I went to a meeting at 3:30, but otherwise I've been here. As I told you, now, each week, as you well should know, I'm sending you my schedule so you know what's going on with me. And when I'm available over here and when I'm not available over there. Now, here's an alternative to the check your understanding. You can do the Oracle assignment, okay? And I'm going to open up those instructions for you to take a look at them. And you can, and this is from the Patrick text. If you go over to Appendix B, you need to do all the steps in Appendix A and Appendix B. And you want to do this on your own machine. And what you're going to do is download a baby version of Oracle and do some things with it I ask you to do. And note, I give you a lot of disclaimers there, so you can do it on your own machine. And that way, you can really say when you go out and look for a job, when you go out and apply, yes, I've worked with Oracle. You'll download it, you'll follow all those instructions. Now, I've had a few students who do it, and just so they can have, just to see how it looks. We've been getting a lot of the looks of what Oracle looks like as we go through as we've gone through the text, not only the code itself, but the graphic user interface. So I wanted to give you an opportunity, if you want to do that, to go ahead and take a look at Appendix A and B, do the Patrick text, and use Appendix A and B in the Patrick text, and install and use Oracle, the baby Oracle that they've got. That's up to you. That's an alternative to doing the check your understandings. All righty. Now let's go on down here to we're at week 12. And here are the instructions for the SAS Visual Analytics project. Okay. And what I've done here is I have provided you a set of screenshots along with my notes on getting to SAS Visual Analytics and using it over there at Teradata University. You'll have to register there in order to do it. And it's pretty straightforward. And my expectation is you're just going to follow through and follow the steps, and you'll have a reasonable facsimile in terms of what I wanted you to do. Now, the reason again I'm having you do this, all right, and the reason that I'm having you, go step by step and go right, is so you can honestly say, yes, I've done some work with SAS Visual Analytics, and I think you're going to find it's an interesting interface, and it will be useful for you when you go out and talk to the employer. But it's also good just to see SAS, because it's one of these that I believe looks a whole lot like a mixture of a spreadsheet and a database. Okay, so the PDF there, I would print it out and follow the instructions. Again, you'll have to register at Teradata University and then follow those instructions. Now, I said this is going to be a Q&A session, and basically what I'm kind of doing is going through this, and then if I think we've got one person here, if we have someone else show up, I'll try to answer some questions. Extra credit. If you want to do some extra credit, I'll open this up for you. Okay. And it's 3 items, 15 points, 45 points maximum. And again, I'm having you do some of the check your understanding exercises. Okay. And again, chapter 10, page 379 has one of them, chapter 11, and chapter 13. Now, as I said before, you can start with a fresh database and then import all of the objects you'll need to do each of those check your understandings. What will be easier for you, what I recommend that you do, is to use the SQL Fun, okay, that database we've worked on, and run the queries, because it's going to have the objects in there. In other words, the tables and maybe some of the other views that you'll need. So I would just simply do that. I would download the SQL Fun. And let me say this again. I had a student in another class. Make sure that you download it. You download the file to the desktop on your machine. If I were you, then at that point I would rename it. Okay. Then I would open it back up. I would save it and go from there. And the reason is, if we don't do this, what happens is we create a system file, and that system file it's like a view, and all you can just see the file, but you really can't do anything else with it. When you try to save it, it won't save. You can't email it or anything like that. So get the file from Canvas down to the native environment, i.e. the desktop of your machine, and you'll be good to go. So if you want to do now again, if you want to do the extra credit, you can do so. Okay. And I'm certain I'll have some of you who'll email me some questions. If you do, that's fine. Then there are 3 assignments that are due tonight. These are from that brown text, okay? This is the text on business intelligence, a managerial approach, the Turbine text. And I ask you to do BI number 2 on page 182, okay? And then internet exercise number 9. And then on page 228, and internet exercise page 269. I'm not looking for anything spectacular. Frankly, what I'm just doing is adding in some stuff for you to do, to give some consideration to and to take a look at. So that's pretty much this week in terms of week 12. Now, when we venture on down into week 13, again, you'll note flex time, work on projects, and final, no class. Now, what is very likely is that I will do the same thing I did today. I'll come in, I'll be here through the late morning and afternoon. I had a meeting at 3:30. Other than that, I was over here in my office, and then I'll come here and I'll probably do another one of these Q&A kinds of things, which is really me just kind of going over some stuff, and then to see if someone shows up or if they have questions. All right. Now, like I did last week, I'll send everybody my schedule in detail. And, sometimes I have a couple of things that I've got pulled, I got the rug pulled out from under me. Hopefully that's all kind of settled down and I can get back into the rhythm that we've had going on here. But otherwise, if my schedule changes something, folks, I will send you an email. I put a post announcement, see if you know when you can find me. Wednesday I was on virtual office hours. I had a few people. So it was encouraging. Virtual office hours are simply you log in, and I hear a chime. I know you're in there, and I can show you my screen, and I can try to answer a question for you. I had a few students from different courses who came in, but I was there. But it's a very convenient thing because you don't have to try to catch me in the office or anything like that. And I do record those sessions. So if someone is there, and I don't run any video in those sessions for privacy reasons. So, and it is recorded. So, I'll probably do the same thing next week. And I'll say, okay, let's do this week, 16, 17, 18. We've done these and we've uploaded them. So now I think you see kind of the method of why I was doing the work a little bit ahead. Okay. Now we come down to week 14, and that is, again, no class time, flex time to work on your final. And on that week, my hunch, what I probably will do is the same thing I'm doing this week. I'll be here for Q&A. I'll talk about the assignments and so forth. Now I want to, again, that check your understanding is due on May the 10th. The Oracle assignment is also due on May 10th. So is the extra credit. Okay. Now you're going to come down here and you're going to see the SAS project from Teradata University, and you're going to see upload set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4. When you go back and you look in the instructions, you're going to see where I say, okay, here's where you've got set 1. Okay. So I want you to upload that set 1, and you'll have to go in the instructions and follow it in detail to see what I'm having upload. Then the same thing for upload set 2, then upload set 3, and upload set 4. Okay, and again, if you follow those instructions, this is going to make a lot of sense to you, because I'm going to have you do some different tasks with a database that I'm going to have you select using that tool. All right. So that's due. So you got plenty of time to work on these things and to have them done. So those will be due on the 10th. Then we come into finals week. Okay. And again, I'm not too bad here. But the final exam schedule for this class is easy. It's a night class, so it's from 6 o'clock in the evening till 8 o'clock in the evening. If you want to do all of your final and have it all done, I'm good to go. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Okay. If you choose to wait till the exam period to do parts C, D, and E, I'm not sure. I think that's sketchy. If I were you, I'd pick these off one at a time, and I think they're like 40 minutes each, so you have 120 minutes. But I wouldn't go in and put myself under the pressure of doing it. And let me say this also: although it's open book, open note, you'd be smart to read or take notes and be prepared to answer the questions so you can do well. Now, everybody's done fairly well on these, so I'm expecting you'll do okay. I don't think there's anything all that terribly bad. But I wouldn't try to come in and do all 3 of them at one time. All right. Now, let's see. Part A of the final. This is due at the start of the final exam period. All right. And I've got the instructions for you on that. Okay. And you'll notice, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you use the tables in the database you created for part A, okay? And the part B is the start of the final exam period. So A and B are both due. Part A and part B are due at the start of the final exam period. Yes. Here's what's happening as you start to look at this. I'm basically having you go and run certain types of queries or exercises as advertised in each of those pages. Okay, let's take number 1. Now I tell you, okay, go over and create and run a query that uses the select clause to list data from 2 fields in your database. Save the query and name it task 1. If you go over to page 49, okay, you're going to see there's a table over there. There's the beginning table, the employees table. So I want you to run a select clause. Okay? And that's yeah. Now, if I have you create a database if I have you create a database or you create one, that's fine. But what I will want to see is that you've done these, and I'll be able to look at your I'll be able to look at the design view or the code itself to know if you did it or not. And here's something from page 47. Use the select clause to list data from 2 fields or database. Sort the rows in descending order. As you can see, what's happening is I'm walking you through some of the conditional statements. Sorts like ascending and desort ascending. Okay, creating a table using a query. Update a field, and when you see me reference a page, that means you should go over there and take a look, because that's where you're going to see text surrounding that will give you some examples and some insight. And again, that's why we went through all of these and ran these queries, and you've got these recordings to go back to. So if you're over and you're going, I'm not quite getting this, well, if it's something that's over in chapter 10, go look at Lunch's database 10 to see what's going on over there. Otherwise, you'll just group, well, here's 14 group by clause. That's really what that's all about. What I'm having you do is just kind of take a refresher right through the textbook to run the clause, to do the select statements using, here's a not equal condition, here's a between, here's a less than, equal. I think you understand a compound condition. I think all of you understand what I'm having you do is I'm just having you run different types of queries just to reinforce that. As I said before, on the check your understandings, okay? There are going to be times on the check your understandings and on these when it may be easier for you to work in the graphic user interface, that is the design view, than it is to write the code. All right? You say, what do you mean? You know, when you go to design it, when you go to write a query, you create query, and you can go down and to the design mode, and you'll see the little box where you put the table, and then those areas where you can name the field and put in your conditions. That may be the easier way for you than trying to write the code. All right? And I tell you, see these pages in here because that's where you're going to find the way to do some of these. Well, really all of them for all intents and purposes. All right, so that's final exam, and that's part B. All right, so we talked about A. I'll go back over and make sure. Okay, now, I had said earlier, if you wanted to you could use the Patrick text, those tables, okay, and I would be fine. What I would really prefer that you do is the whole Monty. Now, if you decide not to do the tables, as I mentioned over here in A, I'm going to want to see that you use the tables that were there anyway. The whole point of this is to make sure that when I can, part B is really the key to this. However, okay, what I would like you to do, okay, is to develop a database that provides solved questions for chapters 1 through 20 of the Patrick text, okay, and draw items from the key points section. Now, if you've been doing this, fine, carry on, all right? Now, you need to have 5 key points per chapter. The items should be true, false. Your database must consist of one table with the following attributes, and I give you those fields, or in other words, fields: item number, the item, the question, the chapter from which the item is drawn, the page from which the item is drawn, and the correct answer. This is due at the start of the final exam period. Okay, so I would really like to have you develop the table and then run all those queries off of it. All right, but if you decide not to, then take the SQL fund and upload it here. I'm good to go with that either way. But I really think you'd miss out if you don't try to design the table. You just really will. And let me say this. When you design your table, if you choose to go that route, think about the types of data that you're working with when you do this. Item number, the item, okay, in other words, the question, the chapter from which the item is drawn, the page from which the item is drawn, and the correct answer. And I think I asked you to do 10, 100 true or false questions or something like that. Yeah, true, false, one table. And then you could do part B and run all the queries to your heart's delight, okay? I would really hope you do the table building exercise or take a crack at it. And the main thing will be if you make sure that you have those fields formatted correctly. So when something you think should be a number, make it a number, okay? If you think something should be text, make it text. And I can tell you, I'm looking at this right here, and then now at the end of each chapter, before I forget this, at the end of each chapter, there's a section called key points. For example, on chapter 2, okay, the key points are over on page 80 and 81. Okay, so you pull 5 questions from there. Make them true or false. That's all. And then you can do it through each of the 20 chapters. Okay. I really want to see it tackle this and attempt it. Now, here I say the database of one table of the following attributes: fields, item number. I would, if I were creating this table, make that item number, I would probably make that an auto number, okay? Why? That way you ensure that you have a unique record each time. The second thing, the item, the question, that should be text, all right? And then the chapter from which the item is drawn. Now, since you got chapters 1 through 20, if you put it in as text, you won't be able to treat it like you want to. So I would put the chapter in as a number in terms of the type of data. And this is in the design view in the table. Let's see, the page from which the item is drawn, I'd make that a number. Excuse me, and then the correct answer, and remember these are to be true or false, okay? So you can put in T or F, true or false. You say, can I give you 100 all true answers? I guess so. If it was me, I'd do 50-50, okay? Just to make sure if I had to call up some that were false, I'd be able to do that. you know, the main thing is that I'll look at your table. Now, if you upload the SQL fund table instead of building the table, all right, I'll look at that. I'm okay. But you're really going to miss something if you don't do this. Okay? The truth is you'll be cheating yourself pretty badly. Okay. Now. Okay. Yes.
Do we have to put the fields in the order that they were listed on there, or can we put them like have the item number, chapter number, page number, and then the item in the?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yes, if you've got them in that the order doesn't matter. Okay, so if you've done it like that, don't worry about it. The order doesn't matter, because when you run the queries, okay, you're going to want to you're going to grab the field anyway, so it doesn't matter. So if it makes sense to you to do it like that, I mean, you could even put the item number. You could make you could make the item number if you used an auto ID and put it on the end. You know, I think it will be a little awkward, but yeah, if you've got it organized that way, you're good, because the main thing is you grab the fields from the table. Right? Okay. Let me see here. Anything else that we need to talk about? Final exam CD&E, those are tests. Again, they are due at the end of the final exam period, which is at 8 p.m. Now, I always have to say this to make sure everybody understands. I am a kind-hearted soul, okay? And if the way I put this course together doesn't tell you that I want you to learn, but do it as it fits best in your life, etc., then you've not been listening. But when the course ends, the course ends. So please don't come and send me an email and go, "Oh, Dr. Harmon." Listen, if you're working off site and something happens, there's really nothing I can do for you. If you're working here on the computer system, that's a different matter, okay? Be careful about submitting your work, okay? That is, if I get a frantic email and you say, "Oh, I uploaded the wrong thing," you know, if it's past the time, I don't think I can help you. Now, I want to say this, and I'm not picking on the athletes, but you guys need to understand, once we became part of the NCAA, they are exceptionally rabid about making sure that everything is up to snuff. So that's why I've made sure every week you had 150 minutes of straight instruction, or what one could say would be 150 minutes of work that you would do to make sure that we have the quote-unquote correct number of minutes, okay? And when the course ends, I can't accept any more work. I just can't. You can file an incomplete, but I don't think you want to do that. So just get the stuff turned in. Now, when you have something and you submit it, okay? And I've been going round and round with the people across the street about this. Trying to submit something in draft mode is, if it's not impossible, then they haven't shown me, because they keep telling me, "Well, you can do it." Well, I can't find it. And so if you upload something, make sure it's what you want to upload. So you say, "All right, so Dr. Harmon, you're saying it might be a good idea to email something to myself." Yep. Save it on your OneDrive, email it to yourself, whatever. So in the event something happens, you've got it. Now these are quizzes. They're objective, and again, they're due at 8 p.m. and they're over the business intelligence text, the Turbine text. Okay. Now, talked about extra credit. So I think I've exhausted myself, and probably all of any of you who listen or will be listening to what's going on. And I'll do an abbreviated version of this next week, but I'll just be kind of hanging around here waiting to see if somebody has a question. And I'll stay till 7:30. So if I have the person who wants to look at something, go ahead and do that. Now, one other thing, and as we've gone through the thing of working with this, let me go to YouTube. We were supposed to be able to get one of the things about this technology was that I do a recording and then I convert it to an MP4 file, which is a Windows file, which I can then take and throw it into YouTube and upload it. And so it's a file that is accessible to anybody, anywhere. And so we store them at YouTube as well. Now, YouTube is also supposed to provide you with a transcript. So I'm going to do a quick search over here for BISS 1123 and see if we can find one. And never forget, here's one. All right, now I'm going to stop this. And if you see these three dots, you can open the transcript, okay? And it should open up. There it is. Now, what this will do is give you what I say at each minute, hour, and minute and seconds throughout the entire transcript, through the entire recording. So look, it's faster to read than it is to listen. And I can tell you, if I was taking the course for me, I would probably listen, but I'd also have that transcript as a backup, okay? And you could always, I mean, it's a text file basically. So all you gotta do is just, if you want, you can copy the silly thing and throw it into Word, and you got it, okay? So you can get a transcript of this. So when I say, there are really no excuses for us, I missed class, I was taking notes and my pencil broke, or on and on and on, any one of those things. And I used all those excuses myself, okay? There's nothing worse than a reform center, which I am. The bottom line is you've got a recording, which you can just go forward, go back, you get a transcript, you got what you need there. And if you should see something and you need to ask me a question, send me an email and say, okay, on this recording, at this point in time, I had a question, and I will go back and try to answer. And I'm here tonight to do that in the event that I have anybody show up, or I have people who decide they do have questions and they want to ask me maybe later on after you watch this. So pretty much what will work from here on out is, on Thursday nights, I'll be here from 6 to 7:30. Now on the night of the finals, I'll be here from 6 till 8 o'clock waiting on the files. Please, please, please make sure that you don't, I would be working on this stuff on Thursday evenings or whenever, because you've got the time to get them done. Now, I'm kind of going to the mode where I see if anybody's got any questions. So, you have any questions? Any further ones?
Yes.
Okay. We have a question coming up here.
So for the alternative, do we really only have to do A and B? Because that seems really.
Are you talking about the Oracle assignment? Yeah.
As opposed to like this check your understanding. It seems very easy.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you do it, you need to do it on your machine. Okay. And yes, it's probably a little easier. And I don't have that big of a deal with it. And the reason I do it is so that you can get a as detailed a view of what Oracle looks like and feels like. Okay, so when you go out to an employer, you can say, yeah, I downloaded a baby copy of it and worked some with it. Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with it, because it does. We throughout the text, the Patrick text, you know, we'd see some pictures, some figures of it. I'm for you taking it and exploring it and doing some work with it. And yeah, if you say, I'd rather do this than do, you know, these, that's the alternative. I can tell you this, if I was taking the course, this is just me, I would probably do the alternative, all right? And I would probably try and go ahead. I would probably try to do the check your understanding instructions just anyway. But if I had that choice, I would do that. The reason being is here is Oracle. Then I'm going to give you an opportunity to work with SAS Visual Analytics. We've worked, of course, with Microsoft Access, which is kind of the granddaddy or grandmama of all of them. We didn't get to work with SAP, although I think we do SAP I think we may do SAP over in 1123, or I believe that I have everybody do SAP 1123. So you've gotten a feeling of what it looks like, and I'm fine. You want to download it on your machine, you know, the Oracle. Yeah, I'm good. And it will not hurt my feelings if you do that instead of all the check your understanding instructions. So yeah, and as you notice, excuse me, what I've tried to do is to expose all of you to some of the different platforms that are out there that you're going to run into. In terms of market share, I don't know if you're to say, well, is Oracle or SAS have a greater market share? I don't know. And what often will happen is that you'll go to work and you'll be using an Oracle, SAP, or SAS client that's been customized to your company, to your needs. Okay, but I want you to see it in its kind of raw form. And the larger the company, the greater the customization they want. The smaller the company, the less the customization they want. And that it just tends to flow along like that. But yeah, and the main thing is this: is, you know, if you decide to do this, the Oracle thing, put it on your machine, and remember, if something happens, it's your deal. Is that fair enough? Okay, and that might give you a little bit of an extra thing. Oh,
for the documentation on that, like other than the physical inspection, would we just do like screenshots?
Yeah, yes, a print screen. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because that's all I would really want to see. And over the years, I've had a lot of students who, well, let me stop for a moment. I know that by the time all of you get to this course, you're looking ahead to graduation. You're looking ahead to going out and applying for jobs. I can tell you that every business school in town, everywhere, produces people who are really proficient at working with spreadsheets. Okay, but what they're not so good at and have not caught on to is the database, the concept of a data warehouse, the concept of data marts, using these tools to go down and get data, the analytical cube. Most business schools say, I got a guy email me this last week, that's too difficult for all of you at the undergraduate level to understand. I don't believe that's I don't believe that's the case. I think if I can understand it, you know, a chimp could probably understand it. So, you know, I wanted to expose you to these tools and what they look like. So when you go to work, or you go out and apply for a job, you understand what why a database exists, what it can do, and you can say with some honesty, well, I learned a lot of Access, and we worked on some Oracle, and I did an exercise on SAS. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I have them do SAP in 1123. I know in 1123 now they do, I've incorporated a location analysis, and I'm going to start putting mapping into the courses because that's a big thing that's coming down the pipe. So yeah, a long-winded answer to a simple question, but one that's designed to get you guys, yeah, head in the right direction. All I could say is everybody who's listening, as you're approaching the job market, if you're an accounting major, I don't think we have any, but if you are, you probably have a job. If you're a computer science, which I don't think we have anybody in here, you probably have a job. You might have a job otherwise. Let me recommend that if you don't, a good place to go is going to be Enterprise Rental. You go, what? Enterprise Rental hires more college students than anybody. And if they have someone who will work the retail hours, work with the public and do well, work hard, you'll probably get moved up. I don't know how many students I've had who went to work there, and here's the point, they have the corporate branding on their resume. So once you've worked for Enterprise, you're good as gold. And I could tell you, my wife, for example, she has a degree in art, of all things, from Southwest Baptist University, but she took a couple of office administration courses, got on at FedEx, and everywhere we've ever been, they're after her to go to work because she's got FedEx branding, because they know FedEx people are good people. They're solid. They do their job. So look for that branding if you don't have something. And now is the time to begin to look for those things if you don't have a line on a job. Like I said, when we moved here, I mean, she had a job within, well, she was turning jobs down. She had a job within probably 2 weeks. And then she said, I really didn't want to go back to work that fast. But I said, well, I'm real proud of you. But it's because she'd had that corporate experience. I've probably told all of you also the story of my younger brother, who went to work for Hilton Inns as a security guard, worked his way up to the entourage coordinator. Yes, Tucson has a resort where all the movie stars and all these people go, and he was the guy who would coordinate with the people there at Hilton with whoever was flying in that week, okay, and how many ever, and coordinate out with their security, etc. He did a really good job. He's very personable, and they offered him they offered him the job at their main resort in Hawaii. And this is the one moment that I truly wanted to kill someone, because he turned him down because he was engaged and his wife's parents did not want them to leave too far away. And so I said, you know, what can I say? What an opportunity. He probably could have worked all over the world. But, you know, it ended up okay. He ended up, he got a job at you go online, you can look for the Supermax prison. You'll probably see something on YouTube. Discovery had a deal in there. It's where it's this automated, they have the worst criminals, some of the worst criminals in the country. It's this automated facility with all kinds of safeguards. He started out walking the yard with the prisoners, exercising them, and they wouldn't give him a weapon or anything because they knew that the guards would take it away from him. So he was out there kind of defenseless. He's a very personable individual. And of course, we all know there's one thing that every prisoner will tell you: they're innocent. And as long as you agree with that, you're good. If not, you know, watch out for a shank at the back. But he worked his way up to the guard tower, where he sat with a rifle and watched, and now he's a shift supervisor. He quit. Some private company got him to go to work for them. Then he left them, and the state called him back, and he's back. I don't know how many shifts he runs now, but you know, there you go again. He had branding. Hey, I've worked in the prison system. What can I say? He's a bivocational pastor. He works in prison, and he's a bivocational youth pastor of all things. So I've imparted all the wisdom I have to give. Any other questions? Yes, no? Oh, okay. Well, what I will do is I will stay here till 7:30 as promised. You're free to go. And if anybody else shows up, I'll answer their questions. And folks, probably, well, I'll probably just repeat this, uh, this vigil each week. Remember, if you have questions, you're always welcome to send them to me, and you know, I'll try to answer them as properly as possible and help out. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna be on here, so I'm sitting here, and I'm probably gonna check some baseball scores and stuff like that. So, you know, if you see ESPN show up, it's not J Term. It's just me entertaining myself while I wait faithfully for all of you. Oh, 30. Yeah, I'll get about 30. And it's.
So most of them usually just watch the recordings.
Oh yeah, yeah. They watch the recordings. You know, the course is designed for people to. It's designed to be flexible, and it's also designed for people smart enough to turn their work in and do their work. It can seduce you into thinking, and no class, and then bang, stuff's due, and you're suddenly you're behind, and your life is gone. You're going to lose your scholarship, and you'll never be. You'll be homeless. You know, I'm overstaying there, but it's designed for that. And I do the hybrid. You know, I do the physical class session. I have a section of 1123 where I have 2 students who are adamant about having classroom instruction, and they come in there in the lab when I'm here, and they can't handle this. So I'm okay with that. And if there were a bunch of people here, I'd be fine. The bottom line is this is recorded. So if something, if you're here or not, you can still see it. You could, so I think it's extraordinarily flexible for everybody. And, I have 30 some odd in here. I have 2 sections of 1123. I think I've got 36 in one, and I think 28 or something like that in the second section. And I have some, these are freshmen, of course, and some of them feel very guilty about not going to class. So I still have about, the 2 that show up in one section, I got 4 or 5 in another. And I tell you, you really don't have to be here. And then what happens, I'll get this really sad email. I'm sorry, I've got to go to the tournament, and don't, please, what should I do, and all that. I tell people, watch the recording and do the work. I understand people are paying for their school, and I'm not going to do battle with somebody and penalize them because their way to pay school is to participate in a sport. Now, I will almost every year, every semester, I'll get that person who, about this time of year, I get a very sad email of all the things that have happened, and they're about 12 to 15 assignments down. And they want to ask, could I extend grace to them? And I typically tell them, you do understand the policy is first time is half credit, the rest are zeros. I'm sorry, I can't. And I really can't, because those people, because we're under NCAA, are running the risk of getting an FN. That's a non-participation grade. And what that means is you can't, it has a huge impact on your federal aid, big impact, because it means you were enrolled, took the money, and ran. Now, we got the money, but you didn't attend course. You didn't attend the course. It used to be there were private, like proprietary schools, trade schools, that they'd go out and they'd recruit homeless people, get them through their FAFSA or whatever they call that thing now, and enroll them, and then give them some money to live on, and they never came back to class. So for those people who, I have those occasional one or two at this point in time, and they're very angry with me. I don't know what to tell them. If you kind of forgot you're in the course, you forgot. Thank you for the questions, and I'll be here till 7:30. I'm probably going to check some baseball scores, folks, so don't let that weird you out. I am here to answer any questions. Take care now. See you later. All righty. As I promised you, I'm going to go over and check the Major League Baseball scores. I do need to see what's going on with the Cardinals. They played earlier today, and I hope they won. Let's see how my team did. Very good. 0-13. We whacked the Mets. Very good. So, Cardinals won today. There it is. 4-3 and 13 innings. Let me see how their standings are. Now, you see, databases are everywhere. Look at this. This is basically ESPN is a form where you run a query. You click on something, and then it calls up a results set. You never saw it like that, did you? Of course you didn't. But here we are. We'll look at the standings. I'm going to run a query on that. And let's see, and it'll give me the results set. Now, this gives me automatic results, although I can do a little bit more filtering if I choose to. And here we are. The Central Division, the Cardinals and the Brewers are slugging it out. Okay. The Cardinals are half a game out of the Brewers. So what can I say? But I'll stay here, faithful as I am, till 7:30. And it looks like we have some bad weather to the south of us, which is going to prompt me to go over and take a look. So I think I'm going to do the Doppler radar, National Weather Service. Here's another database that shows me. And I'm here in BBC, and I'm looking out the south. Okay. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm over here in Oklahoma City. And let me see if I can move myself around just a hair. This map is a little bit clunky. And there's OKC, and now what I'm seeing is off to the south is Wichita Falls and all that stuff going on. That's the Norman radar. Okay. Again, another database. While I'm here, I want to show you something that's really, really cool. This ought to tell you how important databases are, as I've taught them and taught them. I'm going to go over here to the New York Times. And here it is. And I'm going to, there's an article that was here, and I should have just gone ahead and saved the, I should have gone ahead and saved the link. But this was about them finding that criminal who had killed so many people, and they found it using DNA. And they found by pulling his DNA. In fact, right after that happened, California passed a law that anybody who's convicted of a felony we have to have a DNA. They have to have a DNA record, and they caught the guy using his DNA. And let's see if I can find it here. And he was, what was he known as? The San Diego Hills Killer or some crazy thing like that. But they caught the guy. Oh, let's see. I'm really surprised they don't have let's do this. Let's go to the LA Times because they're probably going to have it right out front there. But DNA and DNA evidence is, and you'll find that there are, yeah, here's, this is fantastic when you see a database used for a good reason. They use the consumer genealogical websites, genealogies, to identify this person who was known as the Golden State Killer. Okay, and then they also found, and they also used DNA, and so this guy. I don't know. Good Lord, I don't know how many people he killed, and kidnapped and tortured and all this stuff. But there they are. Databases used for a good purpose. Okay. And I'm still here at 6:54. As I told you, promised you, I will indeed stay on until 7:30. Now, Cardinal victory was wonderful to see. Let me do one other thing. I'm going to go here and I'm going to do the Weather Channel. Well, here it is. Okay. And let me see. I'm over here in Shawnee, America, 74804. And I'm going to find the hourly. And here we are. Now I can go over to the map. And this is a database. I just ran a query. And I got a result set. Let's see about a weather map. And here are the maps. And there we be. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And you say, who's Herman Miller? Herman Miller Furniture is one of the great designers of the 20th century, designing some of the coolest furniture you'll ever see in your life. And to own an authentic Herman Miller, you can buy, they sell the stuff, but to own one that was from that period when he produced them, you start talking about like you're buying a piece of art, which you are. And all of these modern kind of designs of chairs and tables and things that we have really came from his brain in terms of his interpretation. Now here we are. Here's the map. Look, there I am. See me? Hey everybody, where are you? Oh, Dr. Harmon, I'm here sleeping. Dr. Harmon, is this Thursday? Hey, I feel your pain. Okay, I'm kidding you. I drove in, I saw a bunch of you guys out there practicing in the heat, and I know you're tired, you're worn out. I understand that. Now, here's one of the cool things is I can do the future, see what it's going to look like. So let's click future. Again, we're doing a database and we're running a query. And it's going to show us Thursday up to 9:45 up to 10 p.m. And the old jet stream is going to carry, the jet stream is flowing lower than usual. So it's taking all that air from the Gulf and pushing it back into Texas. We who live here live we are mere pawns in the dramatic struggle of polar air and ocean air, primarily from the Gulf of Mexico. We are mere pawns in that dramatic struggle. And it's weather. Weather is a release of energy. So Let's see this. I'm gonna take us back a little bit. Zoom us out, and you can see what's going on. Again, I'm standing here looking at a darkened sky and high clouds. Those clouds I'm seeing over there look like maybe cumulus or maybe they're thunder boomers. I don't know, but they're probably 35 or 40,000 feet up. And so I'm looking down at the clouds. I'm here in Shawnee, and I'm looking down at clouds down there in Latone, a database. This whole thing, isn't that amazing? And we take these for granted. While I'm on here, not answering any questions because no one's asking me any questions, heartbroken. Let me challenge you to go over to this website. This is Esri. Okay. And Esri is the #1 firm in the world dealing with geographics. They call it the science of everywhere. And they have ArcGIS online, and you can do some incredibly cool stuff. I would implore you to do this. Now listen, I know, okay, about the 80-20 rule. 20% of everybody does 80% of the work. 20% of the people in the class are really going to take any and every class they take to heart, and are going to leave here and are going to be, and in about 2 or 3 years, I'm going to be getting stuff from LinkedIn about you've gotten promoted or this or that. Because we've equipped you. So I'd say, learn about this. There's some great stuff for you to learn. You see, I don't believe in beating you over the head with this. My role is to show you all these incredible tools out here to help us run a business. Now, if I'm, for example, if I'm running, a business that depends on people, if it's outside business. Let's say I'm running a campground. Do I want to know the weather? You bet I do. Certainly, if it would be the possibility of severe weather. And you can see we've got whole kinds of little tools that we can use. And see, I've got a little measuring, and I can measure the cell. I really should have started here. At that point, it was how many miles? I want to start here. And I can track that. At that point, it was 196.86 miles. Cool stuff we can do with databases. I'm still here. It's about 7:02, waiting for any of you to desperately get a hold of me with a question. I'm going to step away for just a minute. I'll put a little sign up here. There we are. And I wanted to find the little blurb I put up here. It's a little notepad thing about, I'll be back in a minute. It's all right. So I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm back. And still waiting on anybody who would have any questions. Now, I think what I'm going to do is get ready to retire to my office. Then I'm in a position to grab the machine, etc. Shoe. I'll unplug it. Probably hear me. I didn't do well there. And I'll see if anybody comes in. I'll still be back. We're still going. And let's see. It's 7:09, and I started about 15 minutes early. So I think I'm probably going to call it a night because I don't have anybody in. And like I said, I was here early. Well, I'll stay on. I'll take my stuff back over to the office and get that back over there. Okay, still anybody, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this out from the, and it should show up here on my machine. There we are. And we're still alive. I'm going to turn that off. And then I'm going to shut down the screen in here. I'm over here in BBC Lab. And I've got the computer. I'm going to unplug from the line. And I'm good to go. And I've got some good battery source. I'm back over here in my office recording all this. So you all know I was here, etc. And I'll start to put my books up. Start to get things ready. Waiting, anticipating someone will, seeking me out. I've got about 10 or 15 minutes. And then we be done. Just rearranging some things. I think I'll put that in there. So it's probably a little bit more secure. And I'll put this. Oh, let's see, I'll put this up here. And right here. All righty. Still here. It's 7:14. Another 15 minutes, and then I'll call it a day. I'm in my office now. I can have my crackers. Still here. And I think I'm anticipating it's probably time to shut this thing down. So it's 7:16. I started about 10 or 15 minutes early, so I think we are ready to go. I'll turn my mouse back on here for a minute. Okay, everybody, I will be back next week, same time, same station, and I'll be here to answer any questions. Now, next week, same deal, 6 to 7 or 7:30. Just kind of run through things. Don't forget what you've got coming up, what you've got due. This is April 26th. And you have these business intelligence items, these 3 items that are due on the 26th, which is, oh, it's today. Okay. All right, my friends, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing your work. If you have questions, please feel free to contact me. And I'm going to stop the share and stop the recording.